Welcome to this terrific Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch on Biz TV. I'm John Tobacco. Today is going to be a totally terrific Tuesday. There's going to be everything terrific today. We're going to be tanning, we're going to be in the pool, we're going to be talking about bathing suits, sports, so much totally terrificness, you're not going to believe how terrific it is. What's not terrific to kick off the show today is this. I've been railing for the last 2 weeks against these liberal mayors in these blue cities talking about defunding the police, and now it's gone to the next level of abolishing the police. And, you know, if this doesn't signal a time when people of all colors, races, sizes, sexes, whatever you are, got to come together and say, this crap's got to stop. Take a look at this, okay? Take a look at that. That's the front page of today's New York Post, okay? And when you hear about Mayor Bill de Blasio here in New York taking time and money to paint Black Lives Matter in front of Donald Trump's building right down the famous Fifth Avenue, the little boy that I just held up on the front page of today's New York Post, his name is Davel Gardner, okay? And he was with his family at a park having a nice celebration, and a couple of thugs come in and start firing randomly into a crowd. And guess what? It's 5 people, 6 people are hurt. 1 person is dead, and he was 22 months old. If an innocent child getting killed isn't enough for people to stop with the woke and wake TF up. You know what I'm saying? That's what we got to do. And you got all these crazy squadron members like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. They're all out there talking about, let's reimagine policing. Let's defund the police. No, we don't need to reimagine or defund. What we need to do is we need to train them properly. We need to get back to community policing. You know, years ago in New York City, they used to put the cops in the neighborhoods they lived in, so they would know the people. You know the homeless guy in the park, okay? You know the 2 crackheads over there because you see them all the time, and you know how to deal with them because you got to know them. You know you can drag them home to their parents and they'll get a kick in the pants maybe. That used to be, but not anymore. The main thing is this. You're going to hear these lefties talking about they haven't defunded enough, okay? Right here in New York City, while we cut $1 billion from the police force, that's 16% of the budget for the NYPD, okay? More importantly, before those funding cuts even go into effect, Mayor de Blasio came in and eliminated the anti-crime unit. The anti-crime unit are the guys that go around in plain clothes, and they're responsible for taking guns off the street. They're the ones, people don't tend to commit crimes when there's a uniformed officer out there. But when there are undercovers who are tracking people and on the streets, boom, that's where they catch them in the act. And we have eliminated here in New York City the anti-crime unit. And you want to know why gun crimes are up like 300% over the same 2 weeks last year? It's because already the anti-crime unit can't do their job, and we're having shootings all over the city. And you're not going to hear about this black life, but you're going to hear from his grandmother and his dad a little later in the show. But spread this around. Talk to your friends about it. This is Davel Gardner. He was 22 months old when he was shot and killed by the upswing in violent gun crimes here in New York City, and it's going to keep happening all across the country. And to me, I haven't heard Al Sharpton, I haven't heard one black leader, and I want to know this. Why doesn't this black life matter? We'll break that down and more right after this. Teisha Powell joins us in just 2 minutes. Stay right there. All right, you know, the dialogue continues. It is a totally terrific Tuesday today, and it's a totally terrific Teisha day because Teisha Powell joins us right now. She's a nationally acclaimed attorney. She's also the author of the book, Trump Must Win. and she's with us every week. She's one of the best attorneys around. And Teisha, I don't know if you heard my opening today, but we keep hearing about Black Lives Matter, which I agree with, and all lives matter, but it sure doesn't seem like the group that is perpetrating this Marxist manifesto on us under the Black Lives Matter tag doesn't seem like they care about all black lives. We've had black police officers shot trying to stop riots. We don't hear anything from the BLM mob. Now, just this weekend, a 22-month-old little boy in New York was shot to death. And as they defund police, crime is skyrocketing. What do you say about this?
I think that Mayor de Blasio needs to rethink about defunking the police in New York City, and other governors and mayors should think about this, because the crime is going up. Evil is not going to go away because we defunk the police. I mean, you think that evil people are like sitting back and saying, oh, well, we're just not going to commit crimes now that the police are not there. They're like, oh, great, now it's a time to commit all the crimes because the police is not there. So I think that the mayor needs to just like use common sense on this approach, and we do not defunk the police.
All right, I just want to ask you one thing. You know, we look at the lighter side of things here on Liquid Lunch every so often. We have a few laughs. Are you saying defunk or defund?
Defund and defunct. Yes, I'm making fun.
Oh, I thought you said defunk. I thought we were going to go into, we got the funk.
I think that we should make that word up, because that's what it is.
No.
Yeah.
You're putting the two of them together, the debunk and the defund. I got it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like it's the same now.
What about all these shootings in New York? I mean, is this going to start to be perpetrated on the whole country, or just blue cities with liberal mayors?
It's a disgrace, first of all, that we've lost 17 people. 17 people are shot in New York on Monday. It's a disgrace. I can't believe, I'm praying for that city. I can't believe that New York is going backwards into crime and not going away from crime. And the mayor is just looking at it and thinking that 17 people shot on Monday is okay. It's just an everyday life. I mean, are we that liberal now that we're okay with deaths? I mean, that just shows you when the devil takes control of the Democratic Party, what really is happening. We have more and more evil coming out of the Democratic Party.
So you think at this point the devil has taken over the Democratic Party?
Yes, I think Satan is in control of the Democratic Party.
Satan is in control.
I go to church on Sundays.
Well, recently you had one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement was saying, all right, we're taking down the Washington statues, we're taking down the Jefferson statues, we're taking down the Columbus statues, but now we got to start taking down the Jesus statues. And they're starting to deface Mother Mary and Jesus around the country. Is this, you think Satan's taking over the Democratic Party? Could this be, the ultimate, war between good and evil, God versus Satan?
That's what we've always been saying, that the mark of the beast is going to come through government. So when you see that there's power on earth, it's possible that the devil has given people power to take Jesus out of our lives. Now they want to go after the statue of Jesus. I mean, for crying out loud, we all need God in this country. We need God more than ever now.
No, well, listen, I always say, we only got really three things, faith, family, and food. Those are my three F's. And as long as I got them, I'm in good shape. But, one of the things that the whole BLM movement is based on is the, Karl Marx manifesto. And one of the key tenets in there is that they want to remove the patriarch, the father figure, from the home, and they want to break down the nuclear family. That's the way they feel like, it should all be one big village and there should be no leaders. It should just all be one, mediocre, gray bunch of people who rely on government for everything. And it sure sounds like to me that, taking away people's religion is a big part of their identity.
And this is why I want to remind Christians that we need to come out in drove and vote for President Trump, because families are important to God. If you read the Bible, God is all about family. God does not like when families are being destroyed. So the most we can do is keep families together and small government, the Republican Party, President Trump, that's what they're doing. They're keeping the families together. They're keeping nuclear families together. That's part of God's plan and God's will.
I want you to weigh in on this for me. I was just reading the paper this morning, and I usually try to get my juices flowing in the morning so I can go crazy. But when you're here, I could take my foot off the gas pedal a little because you go crazy enough for the both of us. But Planned Parenthood and the Trump administration won a big case last week at the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court voted 7-2 that religious organizations would not have to provide paid-for contraception to people. I don't know if you heard about this case, but
yes, I did.
Okay, so
God.
listen to this, okay? So, Planned Parenthood is funded by the U.S. government. One of the biggest subsidies they get is from the U.S. government. There's always a fight about that. Planned Parenthood is now planning to take the money that they get from us, the taxpayers, to provide the most baby killing in the whole country as an organization. And they're planning to use the money for a blitz to spend $45 million on TV commercials for Joe Biden. How could that be legal? They're taking government subsidies, government grants, and then they're taking that money and they're buying TV commercials to support Joe Biden. It sounds like robbery to me.
That it's illegal, and it shows you the power of the devil again, because that's all Planned Parenthood is. It's a demonic force. It kills babies. It actually kills black babies. If Black Lives Matter, then black babies' life matters too. So we don't need Joe Biden and we don't need Planned Parenthood, because black baby lives matter. And that's what we should do, is shut down Planned Parenthood, because black baby lives matter. So that's one of the things that all Black Lives Matter should target, is Planned Parenthood, where they're taking out the black babies, because that's the power of the devil. They're killing the black babies and they're promoting it with Joe Biden. So I want to remind people that black babies are dying by the numbers in America under Planned Parenthood and under the Democratic Party.
One of our viewers sent me a thing that she got from her salon where she goes to in Atlantic County, New Jersey. And it said, due to the COVID tracking, I don't know if you know about this, but everybody, when you update, the thing keeps telling you to update your phone on your iPhone. If you do the new update, then there's going to be a COVID tracker app in your phone that the government is putting on everyone's phones, okay? And the note from the salon was, hey, yes, we were open for a little bit, but our government tracking app tells us that someone that tested COVID positive was in this salon, so it's closed until further notice, and when it's up to code and cleaned and everything else. So now there's like this hodgepodge across the country of when things are open. Now they're going to start shutting them down again. How much more could people take of their civil liberties getting taken from them?
What's scary about that story, John, is the fact that they're tracking us.
That's right.
If you read the Bible, the mark of the beast, they're going to try to track us. So that's the scary part of the story, is that we don't want government to be tracking us, because eventually that's what the Bible says, that the government is going to have the power to track us all the time, and they're going to put something in our hands or which is the mark of the beast. So I think as Christians, we should be careful of, having government track us. No you don't
doubt.
Want government to track us. And that's why a lot of people are upset with the Bill Gates issue of Bill Gates trying to give us chip. We don't want a chip, Bill Gates. We don't want you tracking us. We read enough in the Bible to know that it's a trick.
You got that right. Well, look, we want to track you down and get you in studio one of these days, because we miss you in person, but you're always great, even on Zoom. You're the bomb. Thank you so much for being with us today, and hopefully we will see you soon.
See you next week. Thanks, John.
See you next week. That's Teisha Powell, nationally acclaimed attorney and author of the book Trump Must Win or the Dark Days Ahead for America. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with a double duty today from my dear friend. Carla Murino is going to join us again. She's been on the show many times. She is a great woman entrepreneur as well as a great philanthropist. And we're going to break down how many times her suits have been in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, and how many dogs she has rescued and brought to new loving families. Quick break, more Liquid Lunch ready.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, all right, welcome back. Yeah, I know I'm lucky, ain't I? Yep. Hello.
Hi.
I am joined today by my dear friend Carla Murino is with us today. She is many things, but first and foremost, a great dear friend of mine. Been on the show and graced us with her presence many times. You can see her with the little puppy in our YouTube promos. That you remember when you had the little doggy,
Yes.
the little white doggy
Yes.
on there. First and foremost, she's a great entrepreneur, a woman in business for over 20 years. You know, you got a vowel at the end of your name and you come from Staten Island, it's hard to break into the big time. But Carla, we were talking about yesterday, they just released the new Sports Illustrated cover for this year. Olivia Culpo is on there with a couple of other girls that are, you know, quite attractive, might I add. But the big news was that they, this year, for the first time, selected a transgender person. Now, it made me immediately think of you because you have been featured, your suits at carlascloset.com have been featured on Sports Illustrated like a dozen times over the years. And that's like the pinnacle as a swimsuit designer, right? To get in Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
How does that happen? Like, I know you didn't get lucky. You worked your tail off for it, but how does that happen? How do you get one in there?
By knocking on a lot of doors and sending in a ton of samples over the years and putting your best work forward.
And then finally they email you back or call you back one day and say, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to take a few. And you're like, whoa!
Well, luck, yes, I will say luck, but I will say talent also. I will give myself
no,
that.
I said it. No, it's not
But
luck.
the first year that I tried and sent in samples, it was actually picked. 2 of my suits were featured.
Wow,
so,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, there's an old saying that says luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So you were preparing your whole career for that. And it's hard for women. I don't know, you know, with all this equality stuff and everything else, I don't know if it's getting any easier to break in for women. What do you think?
I think that there's still that ceiling. There's still people don't take you maybe seriously enough, but we are very resilient, and we are going to keep kicking down doors and getting in there.
So this year, Valentina Sampaio was selected. She's a transitioned female. You'd never know that she used to be a man. She looks,
Stunning.
you know, quite attractive. There, for those of you watching at home, you could see her right there. You were actually part of one of the other breakthrough moments for Sports Illustrated when they decided that it wasn't only going to be these skinny little anorexic girls, and it was going to be, what do they call them, plus-size women, or full-size women, right? One of
my suits was featured on the first plus-size curvy models that Sports Illustrated definitely featured. And what I like to say about Sports Illustrated is they like more of an athletic build. They like a female shape, opposed to, say, the runways in Europe where they are just clothes hangers. They like to see the female form.
So you've had Brooklyn Decker
Yes.
wear your suit, and she's a hottie.
Yes.
And then you also had Jenny Finch.
That's right.
Another great
Our Olympian.
athletic. She's got an athletic body on her. She's like a Olympic softball player or something.
Yes.
You know, I don't have a problem with it, but like, you know, they went to the plus size women. Okay, that makes sense, right? There was a whole thing where, you know, women were getting shamed into being too skinny, and you know, it's unhealthy for them and stuff. As a custom swimsuit designer, doesn't a little more curvy woman fill out the bathing suit better?
Sure. From what I've heard, and I understand that men tend to like some more curves. So a female form is better with curves. Suits look better on curves.
All right,
Simple as
so
that.
as part of today's festivities, we're going to talk about in the next segment all your philanthropic work that, you know, not only does she go out and make the bacon, but then she spends her own money and then raises money to go out there and pursue her true love, which is saving animals, right? And making sure that they can get taken care of and find them foster homes. We're going to get into that in the next segment. But let me ask you this. The main thing that people care about, and I heard when I worked for Overstock.com that one of the most stressful experiences for a woman is to go shopping in a department store for a bathing suit.
Absolutely.
Because the lighting's not right, they don't want to come out, they don't want to walk, it's like actually a big anxiety. At Carl's Closet, you make these custom to their size, send them to them, try them on. If they don't fit, send them back, right? It's a full one-stop
Full
shop
custom
experience.
made to order from scratch. We can even do right now FaceTime alterations, not alterations, but measurements because of COVID, and it works out just fine.
Now, if you wouldn't mind handing me that mask right there. So those of you know I've been fooling around with some different mask selections, and this is when you're a great businesswoman and they close down the beaches and they close down vacations and they close down travel. A lot of people are probably not buying bathing suits,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Carla, being the ingenious mind that she is, she took her fabrics and her seamstresses and started making custom masks.
Correct.
So you have the Safe and Social collection now where you have beautiful different designs, and so now can you get like a three-piece, like a bikini with the matching mask?
Absolutely. You'll see it later.
I will.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. We're going to get that. And this particular one is a Liquid Lunch exclusive. Carla and I came together on this. It has a zipper where the mouth is, so you can open it, hello, and have a sip of your drink, or if you eat in a restaurant, you can have your food through it, and then you got to zip it up again. There's probably been a lot of times in life where you wish I had a zipper on my mouth.
Maybe a little bit.
So we're going to do something fun today throughout the show. Carla is doing for her charity, the Near and Far Animal Foundation. They save dogs. There are dogs that are orphaned and they need medical attention and they're going to die or be put out to pasture. Carla tracks them down all over the country, near and far, even out of the country now, to Puerto Rico. And you're doing these like little spins where people put in a few dollars and they can win this grand prize. And they get the prize, and then the people actually win the prize, and then some money goes to the foundation. So you can do the great work you're doing. We're going to do a spin for Near and Far. You're going to put it on the site, right? I'm going to share it in a little. And what are we going to raffle off here today?
We're going to raffle off an iPad Pro.
An iPad Pro could come your way. You go to Near and Far AF, right? And I'm going to share it on Facebook. Jess is going to share it too, so everyone knows about it. What is it going to be? $40 for an entry. $40 to enter. And someone can win an iPad Pro right now, today, during Liquid Lunch. You hear about these charities and these foundations, and you don't know what's happening with the money and where it's going and all this stuff. I can tell you that the money is going exactly where it needs to go with Near and Far, and we're going to prove it to you when you see this cute little puppy that just got here from Puerto Rico yesterday and met his new family. You're watching Liquid Lunch. Carla and I are going to come back right after this.
For more Liquid Lunch, head over to YouTube, do a search for Liquid Lunch TV, and hit that subscribe button.
All right, welcome back. Now, you heard about all the sexiness. Okay, we're bringing sexy back to Liquid Lunch today. Also, we're going to have my buddy Jeff Smith, great photographer here. He's going to take some pictures for us and girls and Carl's great stylings. And we may even get Jess in one of Carla's stylings. She's got the curly hair today, so she may be a little cranky about it. But, okay. If you're watching the show, we have a great audience watching. Hello to everybody out there in Biz TV land and also in social media land. If you're watching on social media, share the stream now. We got to spread the word, because when you're a great businesswoman, you could just sit back and collect all the money and live happily ever after with your husband and your son and 2 dogs and whatever else, chickens I think she has now. But Carla takes any extra time she has and devotes it to raising money to save animals, right? And share the stream if you could. Do a little share while you're watching on Facebook or whatever. So, you raised some money and found out about this dog where? Tell us what happened here.
So we have colleagues that are in Puerto Rico, and in Puerto Rico there's a crisis of stray animals, and we try to help as best as possible. And there was this small, tiny, little puppy in need, Catalina, that needed help, and we stepped up amongst other animals that, of course, that we're rescuing and helping other rescues. We want to collaborate with other rescues to help them. And Catalina took quite a while, over a month, due to COVID and flights not being available, and Catalina arrived finally yesterday.
And it looks like she loved Vin.
Yeah, she does. Oh my goodness.
That's Carl's son, Vin, and Catalina was licking him up.
So
if you want to know, and I'm asking people to share the stream, we're going to do this spinification today where somebody can win an iPad Pro, and the other money that's left over is going to go to the Animal Foundation. So you actually had to find someone who lived in Puerto Rico to get the dog and get it on a plane and get it here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have some video of that. There's the doggy taking off from Puerto Rico.
From Puerto Rico, yeah.
And someone volunteered, you paid for the tickets to get Catalina, and they came here.
She's under 4 pounds. There was no way that she could go in live cargo, so we needed a companion.
All right, so let's take a look at this.
Catalina, ¿qué pasó? Llegamos al avión. ¿Qué fue, Gota?
So that was the dog taking off, and then he lands in Newark, and then you're right there waiting for him.
Yep.
So now you were telling me about this website, Dodo.
The Dodo.
The Dodo.
Yes.
Right? And the Dodo has featured you and the near and far AF many times, right? And now through you're working with them and stuff, someone actually, this dog did not come here to get auctioned off. He actually came to go to a family.
Well, one of the executive producers of the Dodo fosters for us, and Emily, she's wonderful. She asked if we needed help with her for when she did arrive, and yesterday Emily did accept Catalina to her home, and now we are taking applications. We do have some pre-approved applications for Catalina, so an adoptive family is in the very near future for her.
Catalina's safe and sound.
Oh, very
right
much
now.
so, yes.
And what kind of dog is that?
Well, I like to call all of our mixes from Puerto Rico, Puerto Rican purebred palm tree terriers.
Puerto Rican purebred palm tree terriers.
Yes.
Okay, so you can't, I would assume in the new woke culture you can't say mutt. Mud isn't like a bad. Mud isn't a bad word in the dog terms. It's a mix.
But unfortunately, we have label, hoes that like just labels, and they want to have.
That's true. She's too cute to be called a mutt. If I'm going to call anybody a mutt, I usually reserve that for like Bill de Blasio, stuff like that. Like that's a real mutt to me. Now, before we finish here, I know for a fact that you have had quite a number of former models of yours that have gone on to become tremendous celebrities.
That's right.
Give us a couple. Who are some of your favorites?
Well, Christine Evangelista.
Christine became a big Hollywood celebrity. She's a big star.
Yes.
She was the co-star of The Arrangement on the E! Network.
That's right.
She's in a whole bunch of...
She's an OG Girl.
I see you still have her on your website.
That's right.
From way back in the day.
Of
You got a hold of that one. What about, did you ever have Amber?
Amber was the Obama girl. Yes.
We had the Obama girl.
Yes, who's a second-time new mommy right now.
Really?
So yes, Amber's still gorgeous, magnificent, and lovely. There are quite a few favorites of mine, like Kim Barbakoff from Long Island, who's been with me from day one, and
Christy Rossetti was a killer.
Oh, my
was
Christy,
a killer
yes.
when she
like
was
family.
before she became a multi-mom, but
Yes,
you know,
a
she's still a killer.
multi-mom.
But I'm saying, you know,
Yep.
she's not doing swimsuit modeling
No,
anymore.
and then my
but she
Jenny
probably could.
Spencer. She's my muse. And she's another multi-mom. We're looking to maybe get together with all the
Oh,
OGs.
wouldn't that be great if we
Yeah.
had a reunion, a Carl's Closet reunion? And I have been a big supporter of Carl's Closet over the years. Any television
and
show.
a model.
Oh, forget about it. I may model one today. You know what I mean? If there's enough people that want to take boxes, if we fill out the box before the
I'll
end of
get
2
him in a
hours,
bikini.
I'm gonna put on one of Carl's bikinis. Okay, if anybody wants to see that, there's probably money start coming in for that. No, John, don't do it. All right, there's other people that really put in time and effort, and the win is just knowing they're doing something good. We're gonna shout out a few of those
Well,
greats.
My Marissa Murphy, Cabrina and Heather Marchant, Cherie Iacono. These are the core of Near and Far, and we could
Speaking
not.
of the devil, look who's here. There's another former Seagirl model. Pauline is here.
One of
That's
the
amazing.
OGs.
Another OG. All right, so we are going to have this spin open until it's done. There's already $200 in the pot as we speak now. We'll handle the accounting on that momentarily. And you're going to hang around for a little while,
Yeah,
right?
I'll be here.
All right, we're taking a quick break. Carla, thank you so much, darling.
Thank you,
and
always.
thank you for everything you do.
And thank you, guys.
You guys, get on the Facebook, look at a paw, take a box. Let's see, somebody's going to win an iPad Pro. I'm going to be here sweating like a sailor. And then if we sell out the whole box, I'm putting on a bikini. Okay, just for you. Take a quick break. Come back with more Liquid Lunch right after this.
Welcome back, folks.
I've been taking my makeup off every day with the coronavirus wipes. I'm still corona free.
Didn't even wipe your fake tan off.
Well, that's because that's not a fake tan. That's a real tan.
This November. And Democrats don't want to see it.
Hey, all right, welcome back. Just breezing through the first hour here, and I love having my friends on the show because I'm very proud of many of my friends, most of my friends, if not all of my friends, or they wouldn't be my friends. But when you have a great friend like Carla on, and you hear about all the great things she's doing as a businesswoman, and then also as a philanthropist to help save dogs and animals and stick up for those who can't stick up for themselves. You got to follow it up with another great friend, someone who's with us all the time. Before we left the studio, she was coming in once a week and joining me for the whole couple hours. And now we're in the quarantine portion of our TV career, but Jennifer Bohr-Cuevas joins us again, as usual. She's a licensed clinical social worker and a disaster mental health professional. And Jen, you are still ripping mad about the potential of schools not opening again. What are the dangers we run here with this distance learning continuing?
Yeah, I am mad. I am very mad. I believe that if we don't get these kids back to school in the next couple of months, that we are going to be facing the next public health crisis for the kids from a social, emotional perspective. By August, it will have been 6 months, and they will have been without instruction. They will have been without the social, emotional experience. And I think that to go any longer than the 6 months we have been in would be detrimental for them.
And I know, we had you on many times when the crisis first started and stuff, and you were talking about mindfulness and getting yourself in a good place, and those are all good techniques, I guess, in the crisis point. But you are a disaster mental health professional, and kids not being in school, especially kids with extra special needs, This is a disaster for them, isn't it? And it's really something that we can't treat, all kids the same. There's certain kids that need extra help, and that's what our school system is there for.
Absolutely. And I have to say, as an advocate for special needs children, I have a brand new appreciation for the public school system. I was often quite hard on them when I was advocating for either Jesse or any of my patients. But I have a new appreciation for just how much we need them and how important they are. So I really feel that if we don't get this going by the fall, we're going to be in big trouble here. And again, I do believe that in March we had to close down because of the pandemic. But if New York specifically continues to remain in this contained state of the pandemic, then there's no reason why we shouldn't be opening up with reasonable safety measures.
So, Jen, one of the things that I've been talking about for a long time on Liquid Lunch is, they barely teach American history in schools anymore. There's so much liberal bias at the upper levels, but it seems that it's trickling down at the local level. I agree with you. The teachers, the actual people who are out there working hard and they're in the union, they're great people and they care about the kids. But the leaders of some of these teachers' unions are really dragging the whole union to the left in a bad way. Is there a way we could kind of I heard Betsy DeVos saying we're not going to give federal funds to places where they don't have an open mind, at least. We need a little more open-mindedness. Otherwise, they're just programming our kids.
Yeah, the liberal bias, it is being manifested in the public schools more than I've ever seen it before since Trump was elected. And I believe that on the college level, that it is very much a part of the college experience. And from a psychological perspective, I believe that when the liberal bias is so illuminated, I think that what it does is it takes away the lessons of critical thinking for our students. And when they struggle to critically think, I think they then overreact. And that is why we see, sorry, my puppy's in the way. I think when they...
Well, we've already had one puppy in the show today, so if you want to put the pup on your lap, that's fine.
But just to go back to my point, when the bias is there and kids aren't being taught more about history than I believe they are, then they become reactive. And I think that's why today, in our, even in the last few months, with the protesting, you see people in the millennial generation acting out, knocking over statues, protesting. I even know of millennials that I'm treating who are being bullied by their friends because they're not choosing to participate in the protests or in the dismantling of, national treasures. So, so I think that the liberal bias definitely is an obstacle to our kids learning how to critically think.
That's for sure. That is for sure. Jennifer Bohr-Cuevas, she's a disaster mental health expert, and I should have her on retainer because I'm a disaster. But we're going to take a quick break right here, and we're going to come back with a little more Liquid Lunch and a lot more of the news of the day. And our good friend joins us again this week. Fog City Midge is here, one of the top influencers on social media, and she joins us every week now. And her and I are going to kick it real about what's happening in the fake news and everything you need to know. Quick break, back right in. Kicking off hour 2 of a terrific Tuesday liquid lunch. It's a totally terrific day. It's going to be a totally tanning day very shortly because I'm sweating like a terrorist and I'm going to jump in the pool, possibly with my clothes on. We're doing a little fundraiser today for the Near and Far Animal Foundation. And for those of you who are interested in helping out a great organization that saves animals from terrible conditions, brings them home, finds them loving families, gets them medical treatment, go to Luck of the Paw Winners Club on Facebook. There's a raffle going on there. It's $40 to join. And for $40, you could end up today with a beautiful liquid lunch and a beautiful iPad Pro. So, you know, take a shot, help out. We already raised $200 in the last 20 minutes, so we need your help if you can. We all need a lot of help if this maniac Joe Biden happens to win the presidency, because he's already told us that his energy secretary is going to be none other than just 18 months ago, former bartender Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And there's nothing wrong with a bartender. I mean, I'm down with bartenders. I've spent plenty of time putting back a cocktail or two, but I have been running an effort for a little while now to start and to make AOC bartend again. And here's AOC, just to talk about what a rocket scientist we got our hands on, okay? Here's her making excuses for the people who are looting and rioting in the name of Black Lives Matter. Look at this crap.
Department has not been defunded. Even with these budgetary changes that were proposed in city council, A, they're not fully enacted, B, they aren't a real $1 billion in cuts, and C, it's not really, like these cuts aren't really real, and again, they haven't even happened yet.
Okay, so let me just break that down for a minute. She said, A, they're not real budgetary cuts. They are. The NYPD lost 1/6 of their complete budget. Is that the 2021 budget? Yes. So more are coming. But guess what, AOC? You're full of crap, because the street crime unit, which is responsible for taking guns off the street and violent crimes, has been disbanded, abolished in New York. So it has. And by the way, she said, A, it's not real. And B, it hasn't been defunded. And C, it's not real. A and C were the same thing. But anyway, I digress. Let's go back to the genius, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and hear her explanation on why we should feel sorry for these looters.
This uptick in crime happening? Well, let's think about it. Do we think this has to do with the fact that there's record unemployment in the United States right now? The fact that people are at a level of economic desperation that we have not seen since the Great Recession? Maybe this has to do with the fact that people aren't paying their rent and are scared to pay their rent. And so they go out and they need to feed their child and they don't have money. So you maybe have to, they're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night.
So these poor little looters, they're not going out and stealing Gucci bags. They're not busting windows on every luxury shop in the village and all over New York and across the country. No, that's not happening. The Louis Vuitton store wasn't busted into. They're out there because they're so scared and they need to steal a loaf of bread to bring. I didn't see one looter running down the street with 2 loaves of bread under their arms. They're running out with bags of Gucci like this. This woman is a maniac. She's a menace to society. And this guy right here, Joe Biden, okay, he has told you in no uncertain terms that if he's elected president, she is going to be one of the key members of his energy team, and she wants to abolish all kinds of oil and fuel, so no planes, no trains, no automobiles if this genius gets in. So I'm scared, but you should be too. Stay right there. Don't be scared. Fog City Midge, Maggie Vanderberg joins us in just a minute right after this.
5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, welcome back. It is a terrific Tuesday when we started. It's been terrific so far, but it's going to get even more terrific right now because now every week we're joined by my good friend Fog City Midge, as you might know her on social media, where she is a huge star. But she's also known to us as Maggie Vanderberg. Thank you so much for joining us today, Midge. You're the bomb. Love the new backdrop there, the Golden Gate Bridge. And she's in the heart of like liberal country there, out on the left coast in San Francisco. And I'm watching some of your videos, darling. When you're out there, I get nervous for you. I don't know, you got nerves of steel.
Well, thank you. It toughens you up living in San Francisco. I often feel like I might be the most hated woman in San Francisco, but it's a badge that I wear proudly.
You think you're the most hated woman out there? I mean, I haven't seen any violence on you, but sometimes I get a little nervous, like they got to do something to you.
Well, the people that know who I am do not like me because I'm also one of the only people who is an open and proud Trump supporter in the city of San Francisco. However, I can't really claim it as my hometown anymore because I've had to move out since coronavirus. The city has gotten way too crazy.
So, Midge.
And people are leaving droves. They are leaving San Francisco, leaving California.
So, Midge, I'm reading, and we both know there's a lot of fake news out there. I think we both got snagged yesterday with that protester falling off the statue. Someone sent it to me. I jumped to a conclusion that, it was somebody. It turns out that was from like 2015, but maybe it's a good lesson to these kids to stay off the statues. But you're really good at breaking down what is and isn't fake news. And this whole COVID case stuff with the definitions of what's a case, COVID related, COVID complicated, it just seems like everything's a case now. What's happening? What's the deal?
Yeah, I encourage you to check out my video that I made recently, and I encourage all your viewers to go and check that out. I made a video on the rising COVID cases in Texas, where a group of county commissioner supervisors basically got together. They live streamed their meeting. So I found this video online, and they were breaking down a new document which went through point by point how they were going to count the cases now. Previously, in order to be counted as a case in Texas, you had to have a positive, test swab for COVID-19, and that was counted as one case. But under the new case definition, you could be someone who was in contact with the case and if you had a headache. So now what they're doing is the contact tracers call everyone who works around or lives with or has been in contact with or is a neighbor of someone who tests positive, and they ask them a series of questions. Have you been in contact with this person? Do you have a headache? Do you have any symptoms? Do you have? And if you say yes, then they mark you down as a probable case. The problem is now that probable cases are being added onto the number of cases. So I believe that this is directly the reason why we're seeing a massive uptick in cases in states like Texas and Florida and California. It's a combination of increased testing and changing the definitions of how we define a case of COVID-19.
Yeah, so, Midge, I know of a person here in Staten Island. I was friends with the family, and the guy went in for an elective surgery right before the beginning of COVID, taking off. And they said, well, elective surgery is still allowed, but we have to test you for COVID first. So they tested the guy for COVID before they let him get the surgery, and he was negative. He did not have COVID. He went in. It was an ambulatory. He came out. He had a polyp on his throat or something. They did the surgery. He went home. He had some complications, went back to the hospital, and died. And the death certificate says COVID. In the meantime, he was tested 2 days before he went in, and he was negative. So there's no way it could have been COVID because he was tested 48 hours before he went in. Is this happening across the country and predominantly in red cities and states, in blue cities and states?
I mean, that story is shocking, but I have heard so many similar stories to that where, people are dying in car accidents, but the death certificate says COVID-19. I don't even know what to believe anymore because, I'm not sitting there at a morgue marking down the cause of death for these people, but it sure seems like, based on just how many stories like that I've heard, that there must be a massive number of people who are being counted as COVID-19 who are not actually dying from COVID-19.
So
we've got these case numbers, inflated death numbers.
Yeah, and I talked about this a little earlier, but it's like right on this topic. One of my viewers sent me this, a note from their salon that said, "We regret to inform you through contact tracing, we were notified today by Atlantic County Health Department a person who tested positive was in the salon on Wednesday, July 8th. As per CDC guidelines, we are temporarily closing the salon in order to mitigate any possible spread. We'll safely reopen on July 23rd. So now this new tracking app they put on everyone's phone, and you're seeing this in Cali, they open, everybody's all happy, they can go back to work, and now the government can pot shot people and say, oh, you're closed again. This is what Gavin Newsom is doing to you out there.
Yeah, and people are really upset. Yesterday was horrible. Gavin Newsom tweeted the new announcement that everything is basically going back into shutdown. Any business that's indoors, any small business, personal care businesses, shops, bars, restaurants, they are all closing in over 30 counties, which is most of the state. So people are super upset. I mean, we've been in our homes and basically locked up and businesses closed for what, 4.5, 5 months now. I mean, people are fed up, and they were so excited to reopen a few days ago, and now they're told that they have to close down again. People are losing their minds, and I'm actually very frightened for people's health and well-being. You know, like people that need to exercise, that need to get out, that need to feel normal. And we were all so excited to do that, and now we're being sent back into shutdown, and people are, I mean, I was crying. People are really upset. It's not a good place to be right now, and you can feel the oppression of what an oppressive, tyrannical government can do. And it's very, it's terrifying, to be honest.
Midge, I happen to think we just had Jennifer Cuevas on. She's a mental health disaster expert. So they bring her in like Red Cross and FEMA to talk to people after disasters and, you know, try to help them cope and get through and rejuvenate themselves. I really think there's going to be a moment where somebody out there whose business was closed, then it was open, then it was closed, one of these people is going to go on a crazy shooting spree or something because they're just going to lose it mentally. And it's like, it's really brought on by the government. Like how many governors can have blood on their hands? Cuomo and Newsom are right up there with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm frightened that someone might do something violent because we've been pushed so far. You know, I would never want it to come to that. And I pray that people who are having problems can reach out and try to get help. But I mean, this is no joke. In Southern California, we've had more people die of suicide, and that was in April. I can't even imagine how people are even feeling now. But yeah, so we've had more people die of suicide than of coronavirus in many parts of the state. So when they talk about stay home, save lives, you know, this is propaganda that we're being sold, because the reality is that the more that people stay home, you're destroying the country, you're destroying the economy, you're destroying people's lives. So, you know, we know how to treat the virus. We know that with certain medical treatments, you know, the vast majority of people can make a full recovery. And we also know the people that are the most vulnerable. So it's insane to me that they're now talking about not reopening schools. You know, we know that kids are not really affected by this. And we're talking about sending the whole state back into shutdown is what is happening right now. And I don't know if people can take it. And I encourage them to just make sure that they look into the facts and that they wake up and that they, you know, vote Republican, because, you know, these problems are coming from the Democrat leaders that are ruining the state.
So I got some notes here. It says, if he wants, we can discuss AOC's latest stupidity if he hasn't covered it yet. I'm covering her stupidity every day, Midge, as much as I can. But, you know,
you covered it right before I came on.
Yeah, we just showed this video, and I have a couple of my friends here. And I was saying, you know, I didn't see anybody running down the street with loaves of bread, but my friend Paulina is saying that she was making the analogy that people are stealing stuff and selling it so they can go buy a loaf of bread. That's not how I read it, but there's no justification for this, is there?
No, there's not. And I can tell you, John, I've been hungry plenty of times in my life, and I never went out and had to steal, you know, a Gucci bag or a pair of sneakers or a flat screen TV. You know, we're in hard times right now. You know, people here are going hungry for months. You don't see people going out and stealing. That's wrong. And it's insane to me that AOC wants to sit there and try to justify the uptick in crime because people need to feed their families. I don't think that it explains the reason why we're seeing increased shootings and homicides and, aggravated assaults happening all across the, New York City. I would love for AOC to address the people that whose lives she has destroyed by, overlooking the own area.
No doubt.
It's completely pathetic that she would try to say that this is because people need to steal a loaf of bread.
All right, you guys got to go out there and follow Midge if you're not already, and she's followed by almost everyone, but Fog City Midge, she's one of the greatest truth tellers we have, and especially out on the West Coast, she needs all the support she can get. Thanks for joining us so much, my friend. I really appreciate it. Stay safe, will you?
Always good to see you, John.
You too, and when you're back in town, your invite's open for the pool. All right, that's Fog City Midge. Quick break, back after this. All right, welcome back. In our continuing coverage of the mania that is Black Lives Matter, I continue to try to make a very important distinction between the sentence, a group of English words that are Black Lives Matter, no caps, no hashtag in front of it. You say to anyone, hey, come on, Black Lives Matter, as a sentence, everyone's going to say, yeah, what are you, nuts? Of course, Black Lives Matter. When you put the hashtag in front of it and you use all caps, Black Lives Matter, it's becoming harder and harder for regular people to agree with the hashtag, although we agree with the sentence. And one of our newer guests who joins us finally, we misconnected with him a couple times, but somebody who could break this down better than me, Vince Everett Ellison, joins us right now. He's the author of the book, The Iron Triangle, Inside the Liberal Democratic Plan to Use Race to Divide Christians in America in Their Quest for Power, and then how we can defeat them. Vince, thanks so much. I opened the show today by talking about this poor young man, Devell Gardner, here in New York, 22 months old, at a family gathering in a park. They disbanded the anti-crime unit who went after guns on the streets here in New York, and gun violence is spiking. A 1-year-old kid is now dead. And his grandmother said it perfectly. She said, these people out there, these thugs are saying Black Lives Matter. Why don't black babies' lives matter?
Well, it doesn't to these people. Look, one of the tenets of Marxism is that the individual has no inherent value. They are only a pawn for the collective. And Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. Look, this is just a continuation on an old thing from the Democratic Party. It's black pain for white Democrat gain. And that's all it is. It's been that way since 1800 when the Democratic Party was formed and developed. From 1800 to 1860, they kept us into slavery. Then they started a civil war and killed 1 million Americans to keep us there. After that, you had 100 years of Jim Crow from 1865 to 1965, where they systematically violated the law, the Constitution, killed, raped, maimed, intimidated, you name it, they did it to black people, keep them under control. When they could no longer do that, they decided to get these three entities I call the Iron Triangle: the black preacher, the black politician, and the black civic organizer, to make sure that black people voted for them. When they can no longer stop the black vote, they decided to control the black vote. So the Iron Triangle is there now, and when they can no longer stop us from voting, now they control the vote. But they have to always commit murder, so they now have a legal way to do it through abortion.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party is the same party they've always been. They've been a vicious, evil, dark party, and this is just continuation: burning, looting, killing. When have they not done it? They've always done it.
Hey, Vince.
They've caused every riot in America.
Hey, Vince, I've been trying to shout this from the rooftops every chance I get, but, 14th Amendment, 15th Amendment, the votes to end slavery, 100% of Republicans voted to end slavery, 0% of Democrats. The vote to give freed slaves and every man the right to vote, 100% of Republicans voted for it, 0% of Democrats. How have they been able to erase all of the ills they have done and somehow turn themselves into the party of minorities when they were against all of the advances that minorities made.
Well, this is cognitive dissonance, the Stockholm syndrome. I do a whole chapter on it. It explains it to the T. It explains how they've done it. But it started in the civil rights movement when they decided to use the black vote to take over the Democrat Party. Let me explain. The liberals were out of sync everywhere. Nobody wanted them. You had a hodgepodge of anti-Christian, pro-gay, feminists, you name them, and they were all together, and they decided to take over the Democrat Party. How did they do it? There were 6 million latent black votes not being used in the South, and they decided to get those votes, and they infiltrated the civil rights movement. Matter of fact, they started it. And they put these Marxist tenets in the civil rights movement that taught black people to depend on government. If you look at Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, I went to the Lorraine Motel back in 2017 when all the kneeling from Kaepernick and the NFL players were going on. And I was wondering why. And I heard Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. I'd heard it 1,000 times, just like you. But this time I heard it in a context that I had not heard it before. He said in his speech, 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, the Negro is still not free. That was not true. We were born free. Our freedom is an unalienable right given us by God. But he said we weren't born free. And that's what you're hearing now still. He said that we come to government for our unalienable rights. That's not true. Your unalienable rights come from God. They're irrevocable. They are non-transferable. They are unsellable. John Locke talked about it in his second treatise of government. Among these is the right to defend yourself, to own property, trial by jury. These are your rights given to you by God. Now, he says that if we don't have these rights, instead of going to God for them, we're supposed to go to government. This is how we got caught in this cultural flux here, where now black Americans, whenever something goes wrong, and the younger generation that came behind the civil rights movement, they believe the same thing. If something goes wrong, you go to government. And government cannot solve these problems. But they tell them that government could solve them only if the conservatives would allow it. So now you got the donkey with the carrot in front of him where they're always following him, but you never catch him. Yeah, that's what's going on here. They are telling them that we can solve the problems if we want to. We just don't want to. These are problems that government cannot solve. Either the individual will solve it themselves or it will never be solved. And it all came from the civil rights movement.
Hey, Vince, over the years, I've done a lot of local community activism, grassroots stuff, trying to, raise money for youth sports and other things to keep kids in, team organizations and food drives and all this other stuff. I know a bunch of black ministers like, Maggie Howard, my friend Tony Baker right here in Staten Island, New York. And these are some of the greatest God-fearing, God-loving people I know. Christian folks. They got real family values. They're committed to the nuclear family. These Marxists want to destroy the nuclear family. Why do a vast majority, I'm not saying those people are supporters of any political candidate, but why do a vast majority of Christian African-American voters vote for an anti-Christian party like the Democrats?
It's two reasons. Number one, the Iron Triangle, the verse part of it is the black minister. Not all of them, but most of them. They were set up during slavery to do one thing: keep the black community in control for the white master. After slavery, it's the same thing. It hadn't changed. They learned their religion from a slave master. It was an apostate religion from there on out. Real Christianity teaches you that you cannot be a victim. It teaches you that you're not supposed to fear anything on this earth. It teaches you to not worry about how man views you. You should only worry about how God sees you. That you should, every time there's a problem, he hates me. Christianity says, love it. He despises me. Pray for him. It goes back to you every time. But our black church has started telling our people that if there's a problem, you go to government. That is an anathema. So this comes from the civil rights movement, but it also comes from the apostate Christianity taught to them by the slave master. And these guys have been preaching it for the last 200 years, the black people. Secondly, there's an old vaudevillian term. It says 90% of every gig is just showing up. And the conservatives don't show up in the black community, and the Democrats do. And because of that, black people don't hear anything but bad stuff about the conservatives. Nothing. So I was hearing that when I was working in the prison system, when I was in the 90s, this thing that changed me, they told me that the conservatives were locking up all the black folks, white conservatives. I got down to the black community when I started my nonprofit organization. Found out there were no white conservatives down there. It was only black Democrats. But since conservatives don't show up,
Yep.
they don't show up, they can say anything. And so these black Democrats, and you know about street money, they pay them money to make sure they herd the black community together and take them to the polls to vote Democrat.
Yep.
And who pays them? Rich white liberals from California and New York.
Yep.
And they and the black community are like rats in a Skinner box to these people. We are nothing but a science project, and they do not care how they do it. Drugs, alcohol, bad schools.
I agree with you. I agree with you. We'll leave it there. Vince Everett Ellison. Go to irontrianglebook.com. We'll see him again soon. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes when we wrap it up right after this.
Welcome back, folks.
I've been taking my makeup off every day with the coronavirus wipes.
How's it working?
I'm still corona free.
Didn't believe you might be fake tan off.
Well, that's because that's not a fake tan. That's a real tan.
This November. And Democrats don't want to see it, at least establishment ones. It seems like they're trying to sort of
Against weed, but for guns, right? There's all these different, and to me, the palette is the middle, is different shades of purple, and that's who's going to decide this election. Right?
Wine's kicking in.
There you go.
It's just gonna work out after this.
30 seconds.
Right.
Your cue is you look for my 2 minutes. When I say 2 minutes left in the segment, you're filming the next guy up.
All right, welcome back. You know what happens. In the last segment of the show every day, we call it the WTF, What the Facts. And it used to be Frankie, but right now he's got his radio show going. So I could have made a lot of mistakes today, so I have my friend Carla Murino joining me, as well as Nico and Jess and my daughter Ava over there. There they are. There you are. I'm asking all of you to please consider going to Luck of the Paw Winners Club, right?
Yep.
And we're doing an unbelievable raffle right now, $40 a shot, and somebody's going to win an iPad Pro. How many, since we started the show, have we sold so
18.
far? We sold 18, so we're almost halfway there in the last hour and a half. So if you could, go to Luck of the Paw. If that doesn't work, you can email me, tell me you want 1 or 2 boxes, whatever you can do. We got 10 minutes here. I'd like to get a few more before we get out of this show today. But Nico and Jess usually keep a pretty good tally on mistakes I made in today's show, and I'll turn it over to the kids' table now.
Before Jess goes, I actually didn't have many errors.
That's a win.
I can't believe it. You did very well today.
Oh, thank you, Nico.
Because I didn't see you have a single drink. I don't know why. Hold on. I don't know why you're a little dry today, but you know, all right.
So we're talking about
doing
serious
better on
issues
mistakes
today. You know, I don't want the near and far animal folks to think that, you know, I'm getting all sloshed up here. We're taking it serious, and my friend Carla's here, so I got to be on my best behavior. But yeah, maybe I should not drink, and I won't make any mistakes. Nah, let's not do that. Then it wouldn't be liquid lunch. It would just be lunch.
Jess
That's not a catchy name.
Jess is going to give you the mistakes for the
Let's
day.
do it. All right, go ahead, Jess.
She gave you a tally, but one thing I'm sure everyone wants to know that we have not forgotten about. You said at the beginning of the show when Carla was first on that you would put a bikini on today.
No, what I said was if we sell out the whole pool, the whole raffle, if we sell it out by the end of the show, I would put on one of her bikinis. Now at this point we're short, 20 some odd boxes. So obviously a lot of people out there do not want to see me in a bikini. They're like, I would go in, but then John might put on a bathing suit.
If I start a GoFundMe and raise the money by tomorrow, would you put on a bikini?
Okay.
For tomorrow's show at WTF time.
Do you have any plus size?
I will make sure that we have a suit for you tomorrow.
Can I wear a one piece with a reveal?
It'll be a liquid lunch.
It's got to be leopard print also.
All right,
No,
whatever.
leopard, we can do leopard.
Well, I can tell you this.
Sean likes leopard
hold on.
print.
For
We'll
those
have
of you watching at home, as I said, Carla's my dear friend since we're kids. I think she went to the junior prom with one of my friends. So I know she's like 14 years old. But years ago, in my fledgling years as a television personality, my brother and I had this little local cable show. Remember the local sports rap? And it was only on Staten Island cable. We talked about kids sports and adult sports and all this other stuff. And Carla used to bring the fashion models down there. They used to do runway shows for us, which the guys loved. And we made a bet. And if I lost the bet, I had to wear one of her dresses. Remember? And
It was actually lingerie.
it was a piece of lingerie, and I believe it was leopard.
And yes, it was.
It was like a leopard. It was like a leopard camisole.
Yes,
or
it was.
something.
And you had a
And
feather
they gave
boa.
me a feather boa.
Yes, and there is a photo.
Oh, there is a photo. Carla says there is a photo.
I gotta get my hands on that.
Okay, well, if you want to do the
do an auction for that?
Yeah, if you want to do the GoFundMe, and I'll give you till the end of tomorrow's show to raise. There's 22 boxes left.
32.
There's 32 boxes left at $20. That's $640.
32 boxes
at
left.
40.
Is this the fact check?
Yes,
here we go. So it's 32 boxes left at $40 a piece.
At $40 a piece. So that's $1,280 you have to come up with by tomorrow, Nico. And it's possible. You can do it. Yeah, we can do it.
We can do it.
Would you say, being you're in the WTF, and you've seen me make a significant amount of mistakes in my entire life, but would you say that me wearing a leopard lingerie was one of my greater mistakes?
No, I think it showed that you were able to have fun.
Right.
And you took yourself very lightly.
Yeah. And I could identify as anything these days. You know what I mean? I could come up to the show with it on and
You were
say,
actually a pioneer.
I was a pioneer. I was identifying as a woman before identifying as a woman was cool. And I
You were
was
very, very easy and open.
Oh boy, that's a mouthful. What's the next thing going on with the near and far? Like you brought Catalina back from Puerto Rico. What are we doing now?
So besides Puerto Rico, our tagline is "We cross borders and waters," and we also help dogs in Venezuela and Peru. And we have many available great adoptables, but we just need to get them back.
But let me ask you this, and I'm not being cynical. Aren't there enough dogs in America that need help?
Yes, and of course we help local dogs and across states, but in the United States we have thousands of rescues. We have animal shelters that are state funded, city funded, and these dogs that are across in other
So these
countries.
international dogs are facing a much worse set of circumstances because I know some of these rescues and stuff are not as humane as we would like, but at least there are some things here. And in like Venezuela and Peru, they don't even care about their people. So I would imagine they're not doing much for their dogs.
It's they're starving literally on the street, along with the humans that are trying to take care of them. They're begging for food. They're boiling used bones to mix with some rice to feed them. So it is a crisis.
Wow.
And it's global.
And from what I have seen on social media, and you got to follow Near and Far AF and go to Luck of the Paw Winners Club, but you're actually you're hatching chicken eggs now or something?
We are hoping. My son is a chick magnet.
She made a body.
And he really has this admiration for chickens. So we're trying to hatch our friends at Pibble's Plantation, and we're trying to hatch 3 viable eggs. They're in an incubator right now at my house, so we're hoping that we're going to get some little hatchlings.
Carla's husband may have a zoo at his house one of these days.
He's a saint.
He is a saint. But he's married to a saint, that's for sure, because aside from being a great businesswoman and friend, she's a great philanthropist. Thank you, my friend. We're social distancing, but not. Thanks for tuning in to today's Liquid Lunch. Check out the Luck of the Paw Winners Club, and tune in tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, more Liquid Lunch.